In this video, we're taking the Vivo X60 Pro with its pro-level Zeiss camera lens and comparing it to a professional DSLR. Let's see how close it comes in its quality to a pro-level camera. The second you take a look at this device, it's pretty clear that Vivo is focusing on the camera aspect, and that is exactly why we're focusing on professional photography on this phone versus a regular boring review. You guys can find that anywhere else if you're looking for it. We'll put some in the description, but we're going to be focusing on the camera aspect specifically. Before we even get into the comparison, here are some shots taken using this, and they're absolutely insane. So even using the Zeiss background blur, you can already see that signature swirly bokeh, and the colors overall, the HDR overall, right out of the box look absolutely stunning. Right away, we were super impressed with the image quality, so we're really looking forward to the rest of this. In case it wasn't clear, this device is co-designed with Zeiss lenses. For hardware, you have a 48 megapixel main shooter, the secondary lens is a 13 megapixel ultra wide, and then finally you have a 13 megapixel portrait lens as well. The combination of these three gives you great image quality across the board for whatever focal length you're shooting at. Obviously, the partnership with Zeiss results in really sharp images and also their signature look being applied through software blur. This is what allows us really to compare it to a DSLR and come really close. Now let's get into the actual camera comparison. The left is the Vivo X60 Pro, while the right is the DSLR. Right away, wide shots, they both look extremely similar. The main difference you're going to see is that the phone may be slightly over sharpened in some situations, and obviously the HDR. Right out of the box, the HDR on the phone performs way better than the DSLR. DSLR shots are usually meant to be more flat in comparison, so you can color grade, color correct, but the phone right out of the box looks really good, and the HDR looks a lot better. Where you start to see the difference is in a shot like this where there's a lot of depth. So as you can see, the DSLR obviously has a bigger sensor, so it gives you better blur. With the Vivo, you can turn on the portrait mode to get blur, and you can get that Zeiss swirly bokeh in the back, but the depth still looks a little bit not as realistic. It's a lot more artificial, but still done a lot better than most other camera phones. Now, edge separation when it comes to a subject, if there's a person involved, is really good. I would say it's one of the best edge separations I've seen on portrait modes. Most pictures that I took here, you can see that the background blur looks very realistic and comparable to a DSLR. Most smartphones kind of have that fake-ish look, but this one does really well. And with a swirly bokeh overall, you can even customize the kind of bokeh you want and tap later to increase or decrease the depth of field. It looks really good. When you're looking at wider shots for portrait, it does even have that realistic effect where the foreground may be slightly blurred. A great example of this would be here where I zoom in a little bit, and you can see the foreground is a lot more blurred in the Vivo X60 Pro than you would be used to on regular smartphones. Moving on from the photography aspect, when you unbox the box, it literally has Gimbal Stabilization 2.0 printed on there as one of its key features, and this video is taken on the Vivo X60 Pro. You can pretty much see how the movement looks like it's on a slider or a tripod or a panning tripod. It does really well at handling motion. Even when I'm moving it through a tree like that or handling from one hand to another, it does really well. Even with running shots, it's super stable. This looks like it's shot on a GoPro, but I was just literally holding the phone and running like that. So it's very stable. Movement is handled really well. You get a little bit of stutter and shake sometimes, but it looks very good. Here's it compared to a DSLR in terms of movement and for video. As you can see, 1080p, 30 FPS, 4K, it doesn't matter. The HDR performance is a lot better. The sharpness in the foreground, maybe a little bit less on it. Here's the DSLR shot. For the background exposure, you can see the sky is like fully white, fully blown out. But on the phone, you get details in the clouds pretty easily, and even the foreground elements are pretty sharp. Now keep in mind, the sole purpose of a camera is to be a camera. Take pictures and videos. A phone, it does everything. It's a laptop, it's a workstation, it's a camera phone, it's a gaming station all in one. And the fact that you can even compare it to a DSLR is pretty insane. Not only that, this contraption fits in your pocket, so you get a pro camera in your pocket pretty much. You also obviously get great features like an AMOLED display, HDR10 Plus with 120 Hz of refresh rate, great processor overall to handle everything, and a pro camera built in. So all in all, this is a great smartphone if you're looking to really expand on your smartphone professional photography game. If you don't want to carry around a camera wherever you go, this is a great alternate for that. We really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you hit that like button and do consider subscribing for more content just like this, and we'll see you again in the next one.